I asked small independent craft distilleries from across the country what they thought the effects of tariffs could have on their business. Back in March, I was in New Orleans and I was able to talk with folks across the industry about the effects of potential tariffs to both their businesses and operations, as well as the whole whiskey industry as a whole. I know a lot has happened since then, but the answers they had back then are still pretty relevant and still illustrate the potential effects that could happen today. So here's what they had to say. Are you seeing the effects at all of things happening in the macroeconomic world, like tariffs and stuff like that?
Absolutely. It affects us every day. But at the end of the day, like every other small business owner, you have to pay close attention to that micro side of things.
Obviously, tariffs can be a concern on dry goods, glass, where you're getting components from. But the whole thing of owning a small business, you have to know how to manage your assets, how to manage your business, how to look toward the future. If there's anything I've learned in 20 years of owning my own business, it's how you overcome and adapt.
It's about evolution. In business, if you're not evolving, you're not growing. You have to evolve with the times.
We haven't personally experienced anything from our operation.
There's genuine concern, specifically in the international markets. I mean, these are huge growth opportunities for big brands, small brands, and a lot of the big brands have, really good footholds in international markets. And
if you have larger companies who are losing sales in outer markets, they're going to double down here, and that just makes things more competitive. They already have an advantage because they're so much larger and they have so many more dollars. But I think if they're losing revenue in Canada or if they're going to lose revenue in Europe, they're going to try to make it up somewhere, and they're probably going to push even harder here.
If you're someone like Brown-Forman, right, and you're selling in every country out there, it's a different outlook, right? They're selling hundreds of thousands of cases, lots of brands.
When you hear the numbers of so many layoffs with the big boys and all of that, they were ramped up. Man, they're making 2,000 barrels a day. I'm making a barrel and a half a day over here, if we're lucky. But does that affect us any less? No, it affects us more. We always have to watch our pennies. So it affects us on a much larger scale. We're just not laying off. We don't have 1,000 people that we're employing. But if we got to lay off 2 people, it affects us because our team is our team. It's a family down here.
I think what bourbon does better, and I'm biased, but I think what the bourbon industry does better than most is the camaraderie amongst each other. The industry has always come together and said, let's not fight over crumbs. Let's go as one unit and let's go take share of whether it's scotch or let's go take share of beer or let's go take share of wine. The bourbon industry is extremely communal in that way.